I think if this fight goes to the scorecards, Jaime Munguia wins.
Ooh.
He's undefeated. He's now proven at super middleweight what happens when he gets hit by Canelo Alvarez.
If you think you're going to be the bigger, stronger, younger man that could probably take the bigger punch at this point, which is Munguia, it's going to be a dangerous recipe. Canelo's an excellent body puncher, so let's not forget that.
He definitely has power. But is he a bad ass at 168? 150%. That's the Mexican in him.
I love Jaime, but I just think he's going to walk into a bomb.
The biggest name in boxing returns to the ring May 4th from the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Saul Canelo Alvarez takes on Jaime Munguia for all the marbles at 168 pounds. We've got a collection here of people to discuss it. First and foremost, Munguia as a challenge to Canelo. Look, a lot of people wanted it to be David Benavidez, and we understand that that's not going to happen. Munguia, the next best up?
I think he is. He's undefeated. He's now proven at super middleweight. He's coming off the biggest and best win of his professional career. So there is momentum behind Jaime Munguia. Certainly there are weaknesses to his game. Virtually every fight he's been hurt at some point. You go back to the Derevyanchenko fight. He was hurt badly 2 fights ago. John Ryder had some moments against him. So it's a fair question to ask what happens when he gets hit by Canelo Alvarez. But as far as worthiness for this fight, we all would make David Benavidez number 1, but I would put Jaime Munguia right there at number 2.
Claudia, I remember going into the Bivol fight, and Canelo at the time was pound for pound number 1, superstar of boxing, and I almost felt like this is peak Canelo. Where is Canelo now from that? Where do you think Canelo is? If that was Canelo 100, where's Canelo as we approach May 4th?
I remember that conversation we had, and we had yet been able to prove the type of boxer, not brawler, that Canelo was. We realized that perhaps he's not the finest tuned boxing machine, but he definitely has power. So maybe he is not, Sugar Ray Leonard, but we know he can hit because he did some damage on Bivol. Is he the pound per pound right now? No. Now we have Terence Crawford, highly qualified boxer who's very efficient on both hands. His footwork is flawless. Is Canelo that? No. But is he a bad ass at 168? 150%. He's still very dangerous. We've spoken about how he slowed down a little bit, how we can predict a lot of his combinations, but you can predict all you want. When you get hit, and you're going to feel it. And that is it.
Yeah, and we saw if it is 80%, we saw that 8% was far too much for Jamel Charlo coming up.
Yeah.
He almost didn't want to know after a few rounds.
Yeah.
And we're not used to seeing Jamel Charlo fight on the back foot, not wanting to engage. And it shows, I guess, to Claudia's point, just how much of a powerful guy Canelo is now at 168.
Canelo is no longer an AA.
I agree.
He was an AA fighter. I think he's an A fighter now.
Fair.
You know what I mean? And that's coming from someone who's really just watched everybody and analyzed everybody. Where he's at now is where he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I mean, he turned pro at 16 years old. He's fought everybody that could be fought in the sport of boxing. I mean, we had that conversation the other day. If you say that Shawn Porter fought everybody, he fought twice as many people as I fought. You know what I mean? And so with all that being said, yeah, his gas is starting to run out.
It should run out.
You know?
Better yet, let's put Gennady versus Canelo and then John Ryder versus Canelo. Not the same guy at all.
Look, there are 2 things that have changed in Canelo over the last 3 years. Offensively, at his peak, he was a 5-6 punch combination guy. Like, he landed a lot of shots and he buried guys that way. Now, he's more 1 punch, sometimes 2 punch. A lot of power behind it, but he has reduced his punch output as he's gotten a little bit older. Defensively, at his best, he slipped. He rolled with punches at his best. You go back to that win he had over Daniel Jacobs at middleweight. Every time Jacobs landed something big, Canelo was rolling with it. So when you saw it on replay, it wasn't quite as impactful as it looked in real time. Now he's more of a parry guy.
I remember having this conversation with Bivol. And as he's coming off the ring, he had just won the belt. He was excited. He was, he proved who he really is. And he said, don't take me wrong, just because I took this and I made it look easy, he lifted his arm, his whole left side was black and blue right off the ring. He said, he hits like a mule. And that's why I had to become Mr. Heisman so he wouldn't get close to me. Literally. So the adjustment in Bivol.
Did Bivol say that?
Yes, he did.
Because that's what we need from Bivol.
I got two things you don't have. I hate to say it.
But those are the things we need from him in order to be.
It took you a little bit to get that one.
But those are the things we
Sergio's
need
still
from
processing, but he's
That's in the right hand. I got it.
Of course. Personality and charisma.
Obviously, we're talking about Canelo, right? Because Canelo is the main attraction there. But let's talk about Munguia. Unbeaten. Now alongside Freddie Roach as well. And I think he looked a lot better against John Ryder. And John, I spoke to John about it, and John was surprised about just how hard he hits. I guess, again, this is a guy coming up from 154 who's kind of moved up the weights naturally. What chance do you give Munguia against Canelo?
Let me put it the optimistic way. I think if this fight goes to the scorecards, Jaime Munguia wins.
Ooh.
I do. Because I think if you look at the work rate that we've been talking about, Jaime Munguia, his work rate is exceptional. And
wins, sorry to cut, wins in our eyes or wins?
Wins on the scorecards.
Okay.
I think he wins on the scorecards. And Munguia, I don't believe, is going to be the kind of opponent that backs away from Canelo, that fights differently, because I don't think he knows how. Like, I just think he's got one speed, and that's 100 miles per hour straight forward.
That's the Mexican in him.
If he can survive a knockout, which, spoiler alert, I don't think he can.
No.
I think he's going to win a decision. I think he has a better chance of winning a decision this fight than Canelo does.
Does he have a bit too much respect for Canelo?
He better. He better.
I like what Sergio just said.
He better,
I agree.
because look, if you think you're going to be the bigger, stronger, younger man that could probably take the bigger punch at this point, which is Munguia, it's going to be a dangerous recipe going at an elite fighter like Canelo, who's still explosive, like Chris said, maybe not in 5 and 6 combinations, but those two are really hard and very accurate. But Canelo's an excellent body puncher, so let's not forget that. So I think he breaks them down here, wears them down, outclasses a younger, stronger fighter like Munguia, and then we might see a knockout towards the end.
I can almost picture Munguia sort of wanting this fight for several years in his head. Like, Canelo's the one that I'm aiming for, whereas Canelo's only wanted this fight for the last 2 months. I can almost picture that young guy having this target for years. And I do wonder if Canelo, not necessarily overlooking Munguia, but fully focused on this guy in front that's been chasing him for several years, as opposed to Canelo, who just turned around and, oh, it's Munguia. I think it's going to be a Canelo sweep here, if I ask Canelo. So, how?
I think it winds up in like a cartoonish knockout. Like, I just look, and I love Jaime, like how he fights. He's just so much fun. But I just think he's going to walk into a bomb. I just think he's going to have some success early on. He's going to land some combinations. Then he's going to walk into some kind of counter right hand to the head that's going to spin him around and knock him out. I think this is going to be one of the biggest knockouts we've seen from Canelo Alvarez.
Wow.
I'm going under 7 rounds.
Under 7.
Canelo Alvarez.
Knockout.
If you don't have a jab and you don't have footwork, you're not going to beat Canelo. I mean, that's proven. Dimitri Bivol, jab, brilliant footwork. Alexander Lara, Austin Trout, who didn't beat Canelo but give him issues. Floyd Mayweather, of course. Jab, brilliant footwork, fight IQ. That's not describing Jaime Munguia, Canelo by knockout.
So there's a product they sell at the supermarket. Chickens tend to lay them. He's got a lot of that. I'm talking about Munguia. And I agree with you. He's going to take serious, not just one, many bombs. And I don't think it's going to be Munguia calling it, I'm done. It's going to be the ref or the corner saying, we're done.
Canelo is the biggest star in Mexican boxing, but Munguia is kind of the people's champion there, right? Like, he's got a great fan base in Southern California. We've done his fights there. He's done 10,000 plus, in Anaheim. Or
Which sound like 50,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like
Mannix. And let me add a little Mexican twist, since I'm the only Mexican here. 2 different parts of Mexico, Guadalajara and Tijuana. We saw this before when Eric Morales will be fighting Barrera. I mean, totally different cultures and upbringings and the way they look at each other as Mexicans. Bring that to the table as well.
I thought that, when we called the Katie Taylor-Amanda Serrano fight, that was one of the first times I can remember where you had a crowd evenly split.
Yeah.
You had the Puerto Rican, New York fans there for Amanda Serrano, and the Irish came for Katie Taylor. This could be something similar, where Canelo's got his fans from his neck of the woods, and Munguia's got his. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere and a hell of a fight as long as it lasts. Like, again, to reiterate, Munguia's not going to take one step backwards. I do not believe he's going to turn into a counterpuncher in this fight. It's going to be a blast. I just don't think he can do it for 12.
All right, there you go. Sold, right? Sold. Take your money. This sounds like it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be an incredible atmosphere as well at the T-Mobile Arena. Canelo looking to prove he still is, as we say here, an A+ fighter.
I need a notebook for all this math.
All that, yeah. And Munguia looking to shock the world and become the new face of boxing if he beats Canelo. We'll find out May 4th live on DAZN, Cinco de Mayo, and we're all going to be there. Should be a good one.